Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're jumping into the world of Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I would expect to happen next. As I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, the link is in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there, so why not go ahead and check that out today. Okay guys, let's waste no more time. Let's jump into this. Right, Polygon's 𝗕𝗪𝗧 paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is the data source. Now last time we were looking at this, we were looking for that additional surge to the upside to kind of complete out a fifth wave move. Now looking at this data and looking at the recent kind of price action here, I think something may have gone wrong within the wave count. So we're going to try to break this down. We're trying to figure out exactly where things may have gone wrong and what I might expect to happen next. So let's actually start by deleting off the fibs. We'll delete off this 5-wave structure and this 3-wave structure, and I'll delete that one off there. Now I do think that these 5 waves are correct and pretty much aligned to everything else that's going on. Now if I just jump out of here for a second into our kind of macro view, what we are looking for is this low point down here. This is one thing that we were talking about before, and we're also talking about whether or not we are looking to move on up, right, and actually have the reversal structure with no additional lows. Now looking at the structure that started to form on the way down, I would say that actually if anything we've just had a zigzag into our correction in wave 4 and we are now looking to pull back down, but there are a couple of issues with that as well. So just for reference, we are talking about 19.6 cent on the lower side of this rectangle and 26.4 on the higher side. So that was the expectation a little while back, and then this structure upwards here was changing my thought pattern a little bit. So let's jump back down into our hourly and take a look at that, right? So what we've got to do is we're going to measure to start with this move just here. Okay, so this is basically a 5-wave structure, and if we take this over to our 3-wave correction, we can see that we come up just past the 1.236 and we find ourselves with a lot of resistance. If I actually go ahead and grab this line just here, you can kind of see that we tap once, we tap twice, we tap 3, and then we got rejected, and each time was actually a little bit lower than the previous. So if I grab this and actually anchor it in there, you can see that this one's a little bit shorter and this one's a little bit shorter than this one. Okay, barely, but it is kind of there. Let me just check on the actual price. The high was 62.80 and 62.70. So basically each one of these is ever so slightly lower. That's actually really important to note, because that does actually mean that we could be looking at something very specific within the patterns of data. So knowing that we kind of got this rejection from this level and we started to come back down, it is still possible that this is a 4th wave correction. However, that is incredibly unlikely in my opinion. Instead, what I think is likely to be going on here is that we have this low just here. Okay, we move this over to this bounce just here, and you can see here that we've actually crossed them down a little bit lower than our 1.618. So essentially what you end up with is a wave 1, 2, 3 coming down here, 4 creating a little bit of overlap, and then we're looking to bring down into that final 5th wave. And what this would be a leading diagonal. So essentially what I think we've got going on is a series of 5-wave and 3-wave corrective patterns. At the same time, it could also be a bit of a bull flag. So we should also kind of be thinking about the potential moves to the upside. So it could be a 4th wave correction, okay? That then means that we go up on higher, okay, but that would be an unusual pattern to see. But depending on the terminology that we want to use, here we have our pole, here we have our flag, the next thing is a surge upwards, right? I do think there is a move to the upside to be had, and I think I'm going to call that a wave 2 instead. So I'm now going to put back on our cards and back on the horizon this accumulation zone, but there is a little bit more of a move to the upside to be had here before we actually see that move down. So let's now focus in on this little section, right? So if we take a look at this, we go up here with a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, with a 5th wave being overextended. That then actually completes our zigzag pattern, okay? So essentially what that is an actual ABC structure, the correct use of an ABC, A, B, and C like that. Okay, so we have that ABC. That is kind of what you'd expect to be within our 4th wave correction. You'd expect that. So that basically puts us basically finishing that corrective move. What we were looking at was this as a slightly higher move to the upside. I think that's no longer really valid, but until we prove otherwise, it's still a possibility. So we should be mindful over that. I'll go ahead and remove the fibs now. Okay, let's now take a look at this downward price action, right? So I'm thinking it's some kind of 5-wave structural move where we have, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we pull back in 5. And here you can see this could be our last little move to the downside. If I grab hold of this low here and this one, then our expectations are probably going to be somewhere in this little range here, between 48.43 and 49.64. Okay, so right in this little spot here. That's kind of where I would mark our little end of this. Then once that has come in, my expectations are moved to the upside. Okay, and this is a leading diagonal, which means essentially this is wave 1 of a much bigger move. So wave 1 coming down, wave 2 would go up, wave 3 would come down, and 4 and so forth, right? So if I zoom back out here a second and I actually start to scale these accordingly, wave 3 would be somewhere down here, wave 5 will be in our little yellow box at the bottom, somewhere in here, for example, and you end up with this final 5th wave low on our chart, right? So we end up with something like that. Now, if I zoom back in on this, we can be a little bit more accurate with our wave 2. Okay, so our wave 2 has some typical retracements. So assuming that we end up on this lower end of the spectrum here, and again, it is subjected to wherever our 5th wave lands. If we take this, our wave 2 is most likely going to move somewhere between 50 and 88% up of this retracement level. So essentially what that does, it means that we're likely to go to 55 to 59. Somewhere between 55 cents and 59 cents is the most probable wave 2. And then, of course, we pull back into a wave 3. So there's a bounce to the upside to be had here before potential downside. Now, when I bring the stochastic RSI up, you can see here that our hourly stochastic RSI is supporting a move to this lower range. This lower range, as I said, is about 48.46 cents. Okay, so there's a good range to be had here, and I do think there's a good opportunity to accumulate ahead of a potential surge upwards, of which that surge upwards would be approximately 20 or so%. So pretty decent. I wouldn't necessarily, mind a trade of that kind of degree. But of course, I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot offer you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the charts. So as I come down into the 4 hour, again, this actually supports that move upwards. So again, you have a nice surge here, potentially on the horizon on the 4 hour stochastic RSI. The 8 hour also confirms something that's similar. And this is actually where my concern comes in. This 8 hour chart with that stochastic RSI indicates that we might move up higher, right? We don't want to necessarily move up higher than, I think, 63.1. But, it'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. The daily chart needs a correction down. So again, supports our lower moves. So nothing moves in straight lines. We do expect the occasional bounce, etc., etc. So after hitting this high point, we're looking for that next move upwards. Then we're looking for the collapse to the downside. Then we're looking for another bounce, and then we're looking for an additional collapse. Okay, so obviously it's going to take some time. It's not going to be instantaneous, although timing is hard to get. Usually I'm not going to be right on that. And if I just get rid of the stochastic RSI, bring this back down, this is our daily chart just zoomed out. Here you can see the entire structural pattern of what we're looking at here. It's a 5-wave drop, and the only way to prevent that 5th wave dropping down lower is for the price to move up higher than $1.30.6. Okay, so if the price moves up higher than this level, or that 4th wave moves up higher there, it is invalidated. This cannot be, or should not be, a ending diagonal. I'll be very surprised if that is something that we would actually see. So essentially, yeah, we are looking for those lower lows. We're looking to kind of accumulate somewhere between 19 and I think it was like 20. Let me actually just check, make sure I get the right numbers here. Where are you? Come down here. Yeah, so our lows are 19.65 to a higher range of 26.4. So those are the ranges that we're looking for to basically kind of finish off this corrective pattern to the downside. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.